Welcome to 22 Panels. This is the podcast where we explore, examine, and elevate the medium of comics. And my guest tonight is Malaka. And Malaka, I forgot to ask how to pronounce your last name.
Malaka Gharib.
Gharib. See,
Yeah.
I would have actually got it right, but they drill it into us at school, and I love that they drill it into school. We actually have a day. We just had it because it's the first semester of summer school, and we've got a lot of freshmen that come and take a class before they have to do like everything, just so they can get work at a really big school. So it's like good to get used to how far everything is from each other. But we've got a day where it's like we teach them how to put the pronunciations into their Infinite Campus file so that all of their teachers have a pronunciation guide for their names. So hopefully it won't be done wrong very often for their entire career.
I love that. That's
I do
awesome.
too. I do too, because we've got a pretty diverse population. Not in the ways that one typically expects diverse.
Hmm.
I mean, I think we've got like probably 50 or 100 Black students and 50 or 100 Hispanic students, maybe 100 to 200 Hispanic students. But then we've got a lot of Indian students, a lot of Pakistani students, a lot of Asian students from all over the. um, yeah,
Sounds like a
we
really
got like
diverse school.
yeah, we've got
Awesome.
5,000 students, or well, I guess it's like 4,800 right now. We do a survey every year to find out what languages are spoken at home, and they'll show it at like the beginning of the year. This year, I think we had 183 different languages spoken at home.
That's incredible. That's a really cool school.
Um, so yeah, it is fun to like, and yet it can still feel really, really white.
Well, it is the dominant culture, so
It's
I think that
yeah,
people try
it's
to.
it's a
That's okay.
rich suburban, yeah, it's a rich suburban school. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Malaka is the author of
Malaka.
two of my favorite books of recent years. Malaka. See, I read that the pronunciation guide. When I do actually pronounce my friend Monica's name with the emphasis on the ika, so I used your pronunciation guide.
Yeah.
um, Malaka.
Yes.
It matters to me. I liked that you had the pronunciation guide because it should matter to people. I actually it was at a friend's wedding. It's like my little brother's best friend, but he was around the house enough that he invited the entire family to his wedding this last summer, which is when most of us found out that we'd been pronouncing his name wrong his
What was it?
entire life. Santosh. And he'd been letting us pronounce it Santosh.
Oh, you know what? I called my neighbor who I think I've been calling him Patrick. His name is Thomas. And that he's been letting me call him that for a year. And I don't actually think his real name is Thomas or Patrick. I'm confused. I don't know whether
Right?
it's Thomas or Patrick. So now I don't say his name.
Yeah.
I just go he already corrected me once.
Right.
So now I can't go back. I can't go
Sure you
back.
can. I have decided to just not have shame with that sort of thing. I have figured out my way to make it funny. I tell people that I wouldn't remember my children's names if they'd behave themselves.
That's always a nice way of saying it.
Because I mean, how often do we really need to use your name? You can have whole conversations with people. You could go whole years with people you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yes.
Malaka is the author of I Was Their American Dream and It Won't Always Be Like This, two of my favorite autobiographical comics of the last few years. I just reread them today, so they're like really fresh in my head. Um, Hi, how's it going?
Good. It's going so great. Gosh, I have so much to tell you about. Oh,
Well, then
exciting.
just roll.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got a short amount of time. You got kids and stuff to do. So like if you've got
yeah.
so much to tell me about, I'll shut up and you go.
Oh, so I was going to tell you, and before the Zoom was being recorded, we talked about people who, you know, like you couldn't believe that you got Jeff Smith on your show twice, you
Right.
know. And for you, that was like an epic moment, like a moment of probably validation, right?
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you about my comic validation moment because when you work in comics, like you're really only trying to impress a few people, and those are your comics idols.
Right.
And my comic idol was Adrian Tomina, Adrian
Okay.
Tomina.
He's
And
on my short list of people that I'd like on the show too.
yes,
Oh, so
huge
good.
fan. So the thing about it, like about Adrian Tomina, when I was growing up, was that he draws these really intricate backgrounds that are so with like very clean lines, but then his people are really cartoonish, kind of like Tintin, right?
Hmm.
I don't know what the name of this technique is called, but I know there's some name for it, right?
I'm not the artist among our co-hosts. If Tyler was here, he might know. I could shout up the stairs to my wife, but that doesn't make for a good podcast.
So anyway, I I asked him if he would blurb my second book, and wait, no, something happened where his people asked if I could blurb his book
Oh,
and like
wow.
interview him for Comic-Con. And I was like, excuse me? Like you like have read my mind. Like he was the farthest thing from my radar. Farthest thing from my comics radar. I thought that we were like 100 steps far removed from each other. And yet now you're coming to my doorstep. So like
Right.
so so in awe. After all that was done, then he sent a thank you card. And here's the thing. He drew himself in my style. And I like lost my mind. I was
Yeah.
like, Adrian Tomina took a moment to like absorb my very childish style and then draw himself. He's so iconic. He's in so many of his own cartoons
Right.
in my style. I like literally lost it. So that was my big comics validation moment. I was like, you know what? I'm a cartoonist now. Like I think
Yeah.
from before then I was like very, very shy about like you know, saying calling myself one. And after that I was like, no, the
No.
floodgates, they've been
Yeah.
opened.
Yeah. Definitely.
That was
Definitely.
my big validation moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And don't call you. I mean, yeah, no, don't call your style childish. It's more refined than that. It's deliberately young. Does that make sense?
Maybe I wanted to just like walk through like my comics journey briefly because like
Hey, that's actually generally one of my questions is take me
oh
through
great.
your comics biography. I
Yeah.
like to start with where did you fall in love with comics? So if you
Where did
can
I love
remember like that first book that you read and loved, that's the great starting point.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because like I was never like I feel like my comics education didn't come until after I wrote a graphic novel. That's like when I was like, maybe I should go back and like read Understanding
Oh,
Comics and like read some of like the very important books and like maybe look at Mouse and Persepolis again, you know?
okay.
Um, my comics education didn't start there. I think that I had when I got a book deal to do a graphic novel, I had read I then started reading all these comic memoirs and I was like, I cannot do it. It's making me too intimidated. Like, I think I put down Mouse and I was like, this can't happen now. I'm gonna like lose my mind.
Right.
So, um, anyways, my comics education came after I did my graphic novel. But when I was younger, I was big into doodling and drawing and things like that, but I was
Okay.
never professional. Like I was
Right.
never a professional person. I didn't go to art school. I actually picked up comics really late, like in my late 20s. Like I
Okay.
didn't you know, people when you talk to a cartoonist, they're like, "Oh, I've been like making cartoons since I was 12," and like,
No, I hear both sets of stories.
"Oh, do
You're
you?"
not even the first person in the last month that came to Comics Late.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So comics pretty late. And, you know, there's a lot of things about comics that I know now after writing two comic books, but like rules and when you know, you need to know the rules so you can decide when to throw out the rules.
Yeah.
You know, conventions, just like what sound looks like in a comic, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say that like my first comic that I really read that made me think really differently about the tone and the theme and this like the like really rooting in an alternative style is, you're gonna guess this. It's Ghost World.
Okay.
Ghost World, I picked it up as like a teenager, like 16 years old. And this was around the time when I was like
Okay,
conceiving.
here's my like poser question. Did you see the movie first or read the comic
No,
first?
no, no. I read the comic first. Please don't get it twisted. Okay. I'm not that, I'm not that behind. But so I read that and I was thinking that this really feels like a TV show, like a film, like an indie film. And this was at the time when I was like discovering Wes Anderson films,
Right.
like Bottle Rocket, and like watching, going to downtown LA and watching indie films with my indie friends and things like that. And I felt like I got into, I could see also at the time there's no internet. So like, I mean, I
Right.
just like
Or it was in its
surmised.
like infancy. It was all text-based and
It was like I just surmised what the rest of this world of the people who are into making these comics, what they were like. But
okay.
anyways, I put that on ice for a really long time, like my interest in comics, and I swiftly switched into zine making. For that was like my main medium, artistic
Okay,
medium.
so when we're talking zines, are we talking zines as in comics, or are we
No,
talking zines as in, you're writing text about movies
music,
or
punk
music? That
music.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was ours. Okay.
So I
So
would
so, so you were doing the written zines rather than the visual zines. Okay.
Yes. And they were heavily collaged. Like I pulled photos from like, I got a Spin magazine subscription and like Rolling Stone, and I would like cut them up and,
I saw NME and Mojo in the book.
yeah,
Are you an
yes,
Uncut fan too? Uncut was always
yes.
my
Same.
magazine.
I loved Uncut.
I
Loved
mean,
Uncut.
you give me a CD,
Oh,
sold.
absolutely. 100%. Love the CDs. I still have all the CDs, like all
I
the
did too.
compilation
I
CDs.
still pick up Uncut on a regular basis.
Really? What I
Yeah,
just found? I found an NME from 2003, and I was like,
nice.
this is great. And
Yeah,
had like the playlists, and
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So I was more into zine making, and then like once I started going to zine conventions, obviously zines and comics are like hand in hand. And it kind of made me think that like, oh, like I can pick this back up and dabble in the comics world. And so I started to slowly add in my own comics into my zines.
Okay.
So that was my foray in. And I don't really, honestly, in the age of social media, maybe I just like drew doodles and like posted them and called those comics too. Yeah.
They are comics. I mean, I have friends that make comics that half of their comic reading is Instagram comics.
Hmm.
I haven't dug deep enough into it myself yet. Actually, Dennis Kitchen's daughter does most of her work as Instagram comics. I brought that up with him and he's
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, that's actually how." I'm like, "Well, look at that."
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I'm just curious, how do you manage to get the book deal
Yeah.
from yeah, talk to me about that
Yeah.
pitch.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
so
I don't mean to be
no,
it
yeah,
is
yeah, I'll
not
tell
supposed to be
you.
belittling. I'm
No, I
like,
know.
how do we go from zine, haven't reintroduced myself into comics yet, to selling
A graphic
my own
novel.
graphic memoir?
Yes, I know, I know, I know. It's quite the leap. I'll tell you how it happened. So, in 2016, that's when, Donald Trump was running for president, and in the media, there was just all this anti-immigrant rhetoric, that I was hearing, and it was like, it was like my 9/11 moment. Like
Yeah,
in I think when 9/11 happened, I was 14 years old, and it was like a little too young. And also I
right,
went to a super diverse school with like tons of Arabs, so it wasn't
right.
like what are Arabs going to be calling Arabs terrorists? I mean,
I mean, one would hope not.
I would hope not. Yeah. So I mean, we weren't doing that. So I felt like I was mercifully like omitted from that horrible experience that other Arabs across America might have experienced during that time.
Right.
But Donald Trump running for president, like that, like I heard stuff like, oh yeah, Arabs are terrorists, like we should like ban them from this country, like Asians are taking our jobs, and you know um like Latino people are like dying to come here. And look, like there are some truths maybe to like people like being desperate to coming into this country, but that wasn't tracking with like my own personal history. And so I think
And
everyone,
also, why aren't we like flattered by that?
I don't know. Yeah.
We're so great that people want to come here.
Yeah. So I started drawing these comics to counter what I was hearing, like almost like by the headline. So like
Right.
Donald Trump had called Arabs terrorists. I directly countered that by drawing this little mini comic um that was called um my dad, the Arab that America fears, and like drew all these like little things about my dad that was like he loves jorts, like he loves Tom Hanks, and like hey, my dad is so scary,
He's a
Um,
hotel manager.
he's a hotel manager. God forbid. And then like other people were like, oh my God, like my dad is not Arab, but like same, like my
Right.
dad's Indian. Like people think that he's like a terrorist or whatever. And so they started to like really resonate with people. And I think obviously it was to the time that we were in, where like people were just like very in
Yeah.
tune to what's happening in the news. Same thing with like another headline. It was like
So where were you putting the comics out?
on Instagram.
Instagram.
And
Okay. See,
and
look at
like
that.
yeah, and like
Synchronicity there.
synchronicity. And like the thing is that like, man, like once I was drawing one cartoon, like it just like kept coming. I was like, I have so many ideas, like they're all rolling in together. It's like this like little like switch had flipped on where it was like, wait a second, like this is like a whole topic of my life that I haven't even explored. Like, why did my parents come to this country? What were their dreams? Like, did they reach their dreams? Like, what are my dreams? Do I have an American dream? And I started like drawing these comics after about 40 little comics that I was posting onto Instagram. Mind you, ballpoint pen, paper, mistakes. They weren't even clean. They were just
Yeah.
terrible, like just quick like ideas that I was just like racing to get out of my
Right.
body and my
Right.
mind. A friend of mine at work, I work at NPR, she was like, you know what, I love your comics. And she was actually an early booster of my zines. I had a food
Okay.
zine called The
Okay.
Runcible Spoon, and she hosted a fundraiser with her husband at her home to raise money for my zine. So she'd always supported my work, side note.
Right.
Um,
You want to give her actual credit, or does she not want
Her
to
name
be
is
public?
Jessica Goldstein.
Okay.
Yes. Her name is Jessica Goldstein. She's a wonderful person and has always been very supportive of my work. And she said, I've got a friend in New York who's an agent, and you should pitch him and make this into a book. And I was like, Jessica, I've been self-publishing for decades, and I don't need a big publisher in New York to publish my work, is basically what I was thinking. I was like, I am DIY baby. Like at the time, I also had my own I hosted the DC Art Book Fair. So like
Okay.
this is but like at the time when she was like telling me all this, like I was like Miss Independent Publishing. So
Right.
I like really I was like, I don't need no agent. But anyway, so I never emailed the guy. I was like, I don't think that this is I don't need him. I can just continue doing my Instagram. And then after 3 months, she was like, no, you should really email my friend. And I said, like, I don't know what to send him. And she said, here's what you're gonna send him. I Was Their American Dream, like, a comic about being Filipino, first generation Filipino Egyptian American. And then send him like a few of your Instagram photos that you've been doing, your comics. And then I was like, whatever, that sounds easy. And I did. And then he was like, instant. He was like, yes, we'd love to sign you on. I think there's something here. The momentum is building. Like we need to like, around the zeitgeist, like people want to like have talk more about race. This is when like TV shows like Rami were just starting to come on board, and like having Aziz Ansari on SNL was like such a big deal. Like
Right.
people of color were finally making it in like the media. So this was like kind of like a big hotbed moment, which I think helped boost my cause.
Definitely.
And
In a good way.
in a
I don't
good
want
way.
to. I
And
don't want that to be the white guy saying
no, no,
definitely,
no, you're right.
definitely you were able to jump in
No,
because
yeah, that's true. And of course, of my own merit and blah. But like,
right.
I also feel like it was the right mix, like confluence
Oh,
of like
absolutely.
events that was like happening. Um, and obviously, when I talk to my agent, I think there's a big difference from selling your self-published book at many, many zine fests and comic festivals, which I support and love, and then having it actually sold at like Barnes and Nobles and Target. There's like
Right.
a huge difference, right? And like
Definitely in terms of the number of copies you're going to sell.
in terms of the number of copies that you're going to sell and like people you're going to touch,
Right.
like the stories could like actually help
Well,
people.
and honestly, for your book, the number of schools and libraries it's going to get into
Yeah. I mean, Penguin has this whole arm that just specifically reaches out to like colleges and
to
universities
libraries.
and like
Right.
libraries and
Right.
schools. And so like that obviously was like I wasn't thinking that because I didn't have the imagination to think that anybody would care about my story because I'd been self-publishing for so long. By the time that that I was at the stage where I had like a book deal like on the table, I'd published like dozens and dozens and dozens of like here's a book about rice pudding. Here is a book about my food fantasies. Here is like all my favorite music, like all these zines. So um yeah, I think
Well,
it was a big
see,
turning point.
I hope that you kept copies of all of those because
Oh,
you're like
absolutely.
you're like two books away from being able to put the compilation of all the zines together and sell it.
That's a good
I'm
point. That's
just
really
telling you.
funny. That's very funny. I have
I
my
mean,
first
no, I mean, we were talking about Jeff Smith earlier. He just put out all of his Ohio State
cool.
cartoons from when he was, he called it the proto bone because it was all the same characters, but it was the comic strip he had in the Ohio State newspaper for 3 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really
For that
cool.
matter,
Yeah.
Terry Moore just put out or had just kickstarted and has coming out a collection of all of his early Strangers in Paradise. Once you have a following, we want to see everything. We like to
Everything.
see
You
the
want to see how I've evolved as an artist.
exactly. Well, and
Yeah.
mostly we just want to hear all the stories.
Well, yeah. And I think with memoir, one of my publishers was like, I think we've heard everything that we need to hear about your life. So like, why don't we think about like different directions? And I was like, okay. So now I'm actually not even working on a comic at all, but I think that comics help me I feel like gives me like the I don't know why like I don't know why. So my comics editor, his name is Ben Dela Cruz. He was my editor for my two books. And he is actually a documentary and photojournalist by trade.
Okay.
So he is a visual person. Comics editors are hard to find. You
I can hook you up with a number of them. I
okay, well,
have them
thank
as
you.
guests on the show on a regular
It's
basis.
it's a fine art, right? It's
Yeah, it is.
like you need to be able to visually communicate something and you need to know it's not just the narration at the top. You know this.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm working on a screenplay and it's an original screenplay. I'm working on it with a filmmaker in based in Vancouver, and her name is Kim Albright. She's half Filipino, half Canadian.
Okay.
And we're basing it on it's an original story, but it's sort of set in like the world where I grew up in Southern California. It's about a half Filipino, half white teenager. It's a coming of age story. And it's about relationships abound. But
I mean, see, you just hit all of the things that make for a good story. Coming of
well, thank
age,
you.
relationships. I mean, I think not enough people realize that like you don't need to have as big hooks as you think you do sometimes. When I look back at my favorite stories, I've actually working on the exact phrase for it, but all of them are a little bit messy. Every creative writing teacher, whoever told you keep it simple. If it doesn't go to the plot, there are some great stories that are like that, but there are even more great stories that have a million different plot lines because that's how life is.
Thank you for saying that. But I think about like why did I feel like another comic wasn't the right next big project for me? Why did I not feel like a graphic
Yeah,
novel was
I do have to say it makes me sad. Comics are way
oh,
better than,
but I actually think that
but
like
there's more money in movies, so I
or
don't
maybe
I don't
there's
begrudge
less
you it.
like I think that didn't like aren't like all the major film production companies like laying off like
Well,
and
I just meant in
in
general.
general
In
Hollywood.
general, you generally get paid better for a movie script than you get paid for a graphic novel.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. So thank you.
I don't know 100% for certain because I don't know all of my numbers, but I know and I know more from the writer side. You know, when you're the writer and artist, you're going to get paid a little bit differently because you can get paid for both jobs.
Wow.
And obviously sales matter. But
Well, I think that
as
being
do residuals. I mean, contracts all matter. But I
oh,
know enough people that work in both worlds now that it's like I don't begrudge the people in the movie world because that's like how they keep their kids in school sometimes.
I'm keeping my day job. I'll say that much. But
That's not a bad idea either.
I think like being a cartoonist, it makes you think visually. Like I keep thinking like, what's the difference between like a storyboard and like a thumbnail sheet? You know what I mean? It's
Not a
like, isn't
lot.
it the same thing? Like
Very
you're
similar.
trying to say things with visuals and like say less. And what's the difference?
I,
I mean,
I,
I'm learning a lot. It's very hard, but you know.
one of the regular contributors to this podcast is a woman named Maria Pena,
Mhm.
who
Oh yeah.
I found because she wrote a letter to Love and Rockets 30 some odd years ago. And I read it
Mhm.
when we were doing our Love and Rockets book club. And I went, this sounds like a really cool person. I wonder if I can find her. Found her, had her on the show. She joined the Love and Rockets book club. Um, which is how I can tell you that, you know, she wanted to make comics. She was
Mhm.
talking, we recorded yesterday with Eddie Campbell, who she knows from 35 years ago.
Wow.
Um, and she was saying, yeah, I still kind of want to make comics, but like I wanted to pay the bills more and my skills make me a good storyboard artist. So
Yeah.
I've spent my years making storyboards for advertising.
We all have to, you know, cartooning, like if you can do it in your day job, that's incredible. And
Right.
I don't know how people do that. It's hard for me to see a path. And I also don't want to like ruin it. Like one of the things
Yeah.
that I'm afraid of is that like I'm gonna start to resent drawing comics because
Yeah.
it's something that I have to do with it's like I always think that like yeah, it's my enjoyment and relaxation and I don't
Right.
want to
That
like
makes sense.
ruin it.
That makes sense. See,
Let my yeah.
I love how almost you know you're hitting so many themes that I see in so many different creators, all in very short order. You know, you're reminding me there. Ibrahim Mustafa took up the hobby of making um, custom action figures right after he was able to become a full-time cartoonist because it's like, okay, if this is now my job, I have to have something else that's just for
Wow.
fun. And even though he
Yeah.
does great stuff, he does great YouTube videos and whatnot, he refuses to monetize that because it needs to be his for fun thing.
Well,
He
I think
doesn't
that
want to
also
feel like
like
he has to get it out.
well, comics artists like so many of my comics like people who are in my generation like peers like especially like women cartoonists like all of them like on their Instagrams they're so self-referential about how burned out they are on comics and like
Hard.
producing content for the masses and also producing content for social media and like giving people as much of themselves, especially memoirists, right?
Yeah.
Comic memoirists, like giving as much of themselves as they can. And it feels like very like they're like a
It's
monkey on a stage is like
yeah,
essentially what their comics have like are alluding to is that, like
yeah,
I'm burned out. Don't ask
right.
anything from me.
Right. No,
Um, it's sad.
it's a hard business period.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how much more difficult it's got to be when you're in a position where your comics are almost entirely about yourself, and you're in a position where you have to do all of your own promoting and all of your own. I mean, because there's almost no good PR people in comics. There are a handful. We don't want to take away from the handful of good teams out there. um, Comics are an ever evolving medium in terms of how they get sold. You know, they're the best
Yeah.
sells in bookstores and comic shops, are the best sells in hardcover, paperback, saddle stitch, floppy. You know, um, it's a weird and wonderful business, but it's not an easy one. And
I
that's
think
been true like since the beginning.
I think about in this case because I want to like I know we have like a little bit of time left, but I want to leave on
I have as much time as you need. but you have a
Oh,
little bit
thank
of
you.
time
I have a
left.
little bit of time left. But I was thinking, I just want to leave it on a joyful note, which is like I think about like what it means to like really simplify, especially now having a kid, like what is something that I could do that feels um true to me with the time that I have. Um, I can't like geek out and do like a really intricate and long comic the way that I used to. But now I've been really inspired by my picture diary, this cartoonist named ooh,
You might be answering my next question.
oh
Because my favorite last question is tell me a comic that you love that more people need to know about, and
oh
you just mentioned one that I don't know, so you
oh my
qualified already.
gosh.
My
Okay,
picture
this is
diary.
yeah, my picture diary. It's drawn and quarterly, like republished this book from the 1980s. It's a book by a woman named Maki Fujiwara, and her husband was a really famous Japanese cartoonist.
Okay.
But she was an artist in her own right. And she drew these single panel comics of what, as a diary of what early motherhood was like for her.
Oh,
And she
fantastic.
just drew these like and the comics were so telling. Like even if they were so simple, they were so telling about like her relationship with her husband, the loneliness that she felt as a mother, like the ways that she tried to have fun, the way that her husband kind of mistreated her, the love that she had for her kid. All of these are like expressed in these like sort of daily comics, I mean diary style comics.
Right.
And
I like it. It's a single page comic with a short diary, and you know,
yeah,
fa- drawn in quarterly. For those listening, go to drawnquarterly.com, look up my picture diary. They've got some sample pages.
yes.
So I'm looking
And
at it
so
right
it
now.
made me think that, like, listen, I don't have a ton of time as a mom to make cartoons. My brain is freaking fried. Like, I'm working on a screenplay, and that's like my only creative outlet, but I can capture moments in like a single panel, single page comic. And I've been
Right.
doing that, and I've like been stuffing them in the pages of my picture diary.
Okay.
So, it's just this really lovely, like, way to like make something for my son, make something for myself, like keep drawing. Like I haven't even drawn my son Gus as much as I wanted to. I thought I was going to be drawing
Gus is
comics
such
of
a
him all
great
day.
name.
Thank you. Isn't
I
it
l-
a cool name?
Gus is such a great name.
Thank you.
Is it short for Augustus or is it just Gus?
It's short for Gustavo.
Oh, even better.
The coolest
Yeah.
people are named Gustav or Gustavo. Gustav Klimt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Um,
there's a lot of them.
there's a lot of them. A lot of really, I couldn't even think more than one Gustav.
Well, you weren't prepared for that. You were prepared for.
Scared. Uh,
So this has been a short one, which means you're going to need to come back. We'll
yes.
find excuses for you to come back.
Thank you.
Um, because comics are just cool, and if you're writing screenplays, we need you to get your comic geek on from time to time.
I know. Well, I did want to make the case that like comics is a really great medium because it exercises like your ability to create other types of you think because you're already thinking visually, you can lend yourself into doing other types of creative applications. It's
Well,
what's
I mean, comics is the perfect medium. It's
it's the
it's
perfect
it's
medium.
it's limited only by your own imagination. It requires the reader to use both sides of their brain, and there's almost nothing that can't be. I mean, people will say music, and I'll go read. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Go read Dave Chisholm, Enter the Blue. People talk about like smell, and I'm like, go read old Mad magazines. They knew how to handle smell.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm reading this book right now that is so beautiful, this graphic novel. Um, It's called We Are on Our Own by Miriam Katin. It's another like recommendation.
Yeah, you just stumped me twice. We are
This is a reprint of from like the 1980s also. And it's about like it's from 2006. And it's like done in
ah
this, like pencil. It's all done in pencil and it's
yeah,
about World War II and it's freaking gorgeous. I mean, just like look at the
it
cover.
does. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, that's my second recommendation.
Look at that. And again, you pulled off. I mean, for somebody who just said that you came to your like graphic novel whatnot, you pulled off earlier today, and it wasn't a recorded thing because he was just stopping in to do some. If you know the Santos Sisters underground comic, we do the audio presentations. So I was recording some of that with a friend of mine who's been reading comics for 50 years. And he's like, one of the reasons I love listening to your podcast is you're so excited about so many books that I haven't heard of. So he was trying to stump me and like went through 40 books and there were like two that I didn't
I
immediately.
stumped
And like,
you.
yeah, you twice. Both of your books
Very.
were not ones that I knew. So I am very impressed.
This is a
And
validating moment for me.
and I need to have you back just to like geek comics now. I'd love to hear more stories of this stuff, but I also need to just geek comics.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
So
so much, Tad, for making the time.
absolutely. Well, thank you, because you clearly were on a tighter schedule.
Oh,
So for Malaka Gharib,
Malaka.
Malaka Gharib. See, I just
Tad Eagleston. Tade Eagleston.
yeah, go for it. I'll take it. I you know I, I don't know why I always want to put the emphasis on the second syllable. I say my hometown is Wheaton, and
Oh,
like my best friend has given me a hard time about it my entire
Eagleston.
life. She's like, it's Wheaton, Wheaton,
Wheaton.
and I'm like, Wheaton, no, Wheat.
So how do
I
you
can't
say your
even say.
name?
No, it's Tad Eggleston.
I like
Um,
Tad Eggleston.
but
I,
but I even there I'm putting. I mean, I guess it's three syllables, and I put emphasis on the first and the third,
you
but
know what's nice about your name is that you have the word egg in your name. It's a very pleasing word.
it is. And I let people. My grandfather went by eggs. My grandfather once got a piece of mail from one of his World War II buddies that was just addressed to Eggs Galena.
Eggs Galena. Is
No,
his last name Galena?
no. Eggs and Galena is the town.
Oh
Didn't
my
have
God.
didn't have the state, didn't have the zip code,
Did they figure it out?
didn't have George or Eggleston. It's just Eggs Galena, and it got to him.
That's incredible. That's a comic.
Yeah.
That is a comic. That's wonderful.
So,
Eggs. Do you go by
yeah,
eggs?
I I
Mr.
allow it.
Eggs. Mr.
I'm
Eggs?
I'm generally actually Mr. E
Hmm.
at school. Well, I kind of like it. Mystery.
Mystery? Mystery.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Um,
I really must
but I
go.
will let them do eggs. So
Okay.
so for
Malaka.
Malaka, Malaka Gharib.
Yeah.
This has been 22 panels. We will see you after the next page.
See you. I'll be on your show again. Bye.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22panelspodcast.